And good morning, everybody. Welcome to Chalk Talk. I'm your host, Kim Davis. Today is Tuesday, April the 2nd. I'm so glad that we didn't do this show on April Fool's Day, so you would know it's not a joke. Welcome, everybody. Welcome. Man, has it been a lot going on in the sports world since the last time we were together. We did, last week we did 2 shows. I can't even keep up anymore, but thank you for hopping on and being a part of this week's show. So, the Final Four is set. Yes, we're going to talk about that. The Houston Astros, after starting out 0-4 and having many local Houston fans in a panic that they lost 4 of the 162 games, 161 games, 62 games that would be played. Well, that frenzy's over, and we'll tell you about it and how they managed to move things forward. Also, the Houston Rockets back in action tonight to take on the T-Wolves in Minnesota. The win streak ended at 11, but they're not out of it yet. We'll talk about what needs to happen if they're going to get a spot in the play-in tournament. That's still possible. It's a busy week for the Houston Rockets. And of course, I mentioned baseball. Also a special day. You're going to hear from Manager Joe Espada talking about Autism Day. And I'm going to let you hear, like I said, we have lots of sound about the Final Four. You're going to hear from Angel Reese. And you're also going to hear from Coach Leah, someone who is a friend of the show, who is on her way. She may even be there by now to Cleveland for the Final Four. So after the second game last night, she was kind enough to do an interview to share her thoughts about the Final Four, some stuff that she has going on in Cleveland, and all that kind of good stuff. So welcome to Chalk Talk. As usual, I am so glad you're here. And before we get started, a couple of updates. I mentioned to you last week about a special that I'm doing for the KD company side of my business for, people who may not quite be ready for media training, but maybe you want some help. You want me, to look at your video content and give you some feedback, and then give you some pointers on what you could do to be more confident on camera, be more comfortable on camera, whether it is for your social media platform worlds, it's for your Zooms, or even if it's for standing before crowds and audiences in your job, or, where you have to show up. There's a way that you can improve and work on all those skills. And so the KD company has a program, and I'm running a special for the next couple of weeks in April. I have the special created, and after today's show this afternoon, I will definitely post it. And I mentioned to you guys last week about an additional show that the KD company is going to produce, and we talked about names, and I think I've come up with a name. It's something that people often ask me about. Our conversations often tend to lead this way. Some of my clients, even when I'm working with them, we talk about what is appropriate, right? What's appropriate communication? What's the appropriate way to show up? What's the appropriate response? Because there's so many people who have thoughts about how all of us should be doing things. But the real key is what's appropriate? What's the appropriate attire? Is it what everybody else is wearing? Or what is appropriate? And so I thought about maybe the show is just called What's Appropriate, and they'll cover everything from resilience to communication to leadership. Let me know what you think. Drop that in the chat, and that will be coming up the 1st of next month. I'm super excited to say I should be getting our Chalk Talk mugs, water thermoses, if you will, in. It's going to take a while because, they're I'm not making them by hand. I'm just going to go ahead and tell you guys that, but it does require something to make those. Stay tuned. It may be a month and a half before I get them in, but I will be having those as a part of the Chalk Talk gear and apparel as we work on launching a line with t-shirts and also those thermoses. So a lot of really cool things happening, but let's just get right into today's show. Hey, good morning, my good friend, Charles Lamar Drayden. Whenever I see your name, I'm always reminded to remind the audience, and I'll do it again at the end of the show. If you're not registered to vote, get registered, okay? There are elections coming up, not just in November for the presidential election. There are elections that lead up to that. And so if you're in Texas, there's some runoff elections coming up. There's a special election. So make sure that you're registered so that when there is an election, you are able to vote. I never tell you who to vote for. I am always, always, always going to encourage you to vote. So there is that public service announcement for today. So let's start with let's start with the Houston Astros. Okay, we're going to start there. The Astros started out 0-4. And people were in a bit of a frenzy about it, right? Oh my gosh, this team cannot win at home. It goes back to what happened the end of last season when they could not win a game at home. They're 0-4. The middle relief pitching hadn't been great. The new really expensive closer did not have a great outing. And so what is happening? The bats weren't, when you needed them, weren't doing what you thought they should do. What is going on? Well, here's the deal. All that was quieted last night. The Astros not only got a win, they got a no-hit shutout from somebody that many of you will say is an unlikely pitcher, right? In fact, if Justin Verlander wasn't injured, right, if he was in the lineup, this pitcher last night, Ronel Blanco, probably does not get the start. And so I'm going to go before the game yesterday, talking with Astros manager Joe Espada. And here is what he says about his expectations for, I put that twice. Let me delete that so I don't accidentally. Okay, here we go. Here's Joe Espada talking about Ronel Blanco before yesterday's impressive outing.
I do, and expecting Ronel to give us some good, a quality outing. We've been getting some quality outing from our starting pitching, and we need Ronel Blanco to do just that.
His last start was a crazy one with having a baby.
Yeah.
This one should be a little more calm.
A more normal one, more calm.
Routine.
And he's ready. He just went over the Blue Jays there with the pitching staff, and I think we have a good game plan in place, and now it's just time to go out there and execute.
Yeah, it looks like they did have a good game plan in place. It looks like he was able to go out and execute, and the Astros are back in the win column. So, are in the win column. A couple of cool things happened. It was Joe Espada's first win as a manager, and Ronel Blanco, a guy who this was his 8th career start. He not only gets the start and pitches well, he no-hits him and shuts him out. So the Astros bats were hot. The final was 10-0. Yainer Diaz went yard twice. This is the kind of offense I think people expect this Astros lineup to produce. And you have to give credit to Astros general manager Dana Brown. He saw something in Ronel Blanco that he liked in spring training. And you've often heard him talk about it. He always talks about the need for depth at pitching. So it's an exciting start. I know many of you miss Dusty. We all do. I'm just glad they're not still talking about Dusty. Let Dusty be Dusty and be where he is. And a big win last night for the Houston Astros. Another thing I want to mention and let you hear from Joe Espada. Today is Autism Awareness Day at Minute Maid Park. And Joe Espada has been a really big advocate for autism. One of the reasons is because his daughter, his youngest daughter, Viviana, is on the spectrum. And we got a chance to meet her earlier this year when they named, actually not this year, it would have been last year now, I forget, we're in 2024, when they named Espada as the manager, and we got a chance to meet his family and talk with his daughter, and he shared that about her. So today is Autism Awareness Day. It's a special day for Joe and his family. And here is manager Joe Espada talking about not just the day, but his daughter, Viviana.
My daughter, Viviana, is on the spectrum. So for me, I live that every single day. And so she'll be here tomorrow. And I'm excited about, talking about it and doing work in the community to create awareness and helping parents and families to understand that it's an everyday job. It requires a lot of patience and love and understanding and acceptance to deal with autism. So tomorrow's going to be a big day in our family.
We got a chance to talk to her
earlier this year, and if you hadn't told us, we would know, which is probably our ignorance in understanding it. What kind of things do you want people to know about having a kid that's autistic?
And that's how far she's come. When she first was diagnosed, there were some things about her behavior that trigger us going and getting some tests, and because you saw her around other kids that her age, how she wasn't communicating with them very well. But now when she's at school and I go out to lunch with her and I see her playing in out in recess with her kids, how she interacts and how accepting they are of her, it tells you how far she's come and how hard she's worked to be more in that normal age group. Her grades at school, how we celebrate, how she, just makes strides with her math, science, and her reading. Those are the victories that I enjoy the most.
That is Astros manager Joe Espada talking about his daughter Viviana. She will be at the stadium today. He will get behind the plate. She's going to throw out a pitch, first pitch to him. I'm sure she'll probably move up a little bit. She's a small young lady, but lots of energy, very bright. And as I said in that clip, we got a chance to talk with her when he was named manager, and she, not camera shy at all. So good for the Astros and for Joe Espada for shining a light on something that is plagues so many families around the country. So good for him for that. Hey, good morning. Good morning, Dr. Muhammad. It's always good to have you in the audience. I appreciate you, my friend. We're going to come back to the NBA, but I want to go to the Final Four, right? Because that's coming up this weekend. But I want to start with, I have an interview with Coach Leah, who's going to talk a little bit about what she has going on with the Final Four. But I wanted to play and let you guys hear from Angel Reese. So big matchup yesterday, Iowa and LSU. It was a rematch of last year's championship game, right? And there's so many thoughts about how people were rooting and who they're pulling for. Two of the best players in the game, Caitlin Clark from Iowa, who's just nothing short of amazing. I mean, you just can't take it from her. She basically can shoot the ball from almost the parking lot, okay? She can pull up and shoot it, and she did that. The game was tied at the half, and she came out in the third quarter and really just took over. And then there are others on her team as well. Of course, on LSU side, we know about Angel Reese, the post player, the person that people either love or love to hate. And I think people forget that she is still a young woman. She's a college student. And she wanted to remind people last night that she's human. One of her teammates was, that spoke in the post-game press conference said, you guys don't know Angel Reese. You don't know who she is. You don't know what she means to us, how she shows up, and what she means for this team. But here is Angel Reese last night talking about really her experience and some of the challenges.
I don't really get to stand up for myself. I mean, I have great teammates. I have a great support system. I got my hometown. I got my family that stands up for me. I don't really get to speak out on things just because I just try to ignore, and I just try to stand strong. Like, I've been through so much. I've seen so much. I've been attacked so many times. Death threats. I've been sexualized. I've been threatened. I've been so many things, and I've stood strong every single time. And I just try to stand strong for my teammates because I don't want them to see me down and not be there for them. So I just want to always just know, I'm still a human. All this has happened since I won the national championship. And I said the other day, I haven't had peace since then. And it sucks. But I still wouldn't change. I wouldn't change anything. And I would still sit here and say, I'm unapologetically me. I'm going to always leave that mark and be who I am and stand on that. And hopefully the little girls that look up to me, and hopefully I give them some type of inspiration that, hopefully it's not this hard and all the things that come at you, but keep being who you are, keep waking up every day, keep being motivated, staying who you are, staying 10 toes, don't back down, and just be confident.
So that is Angel Reese after yesterday's game. And so, it struck me that she said, I don't get to really stand up for myself. When she says she's had death threats, they won a championship, right? That she had death threats, she's been sexualized, she's been harassed and, criticized beyond what is, probably, normal or even reasonable. And so I just wanted to show you that and let you hear from her, let her tell you what her experience has been. And I'm always, one of the things that I love about sports is that it should galvanize people and bring us together, but it should not be to the point to where we have to have so much vitriol towards someone else. So I wanted to share that. That was Angel Reese from last night. Her teammate spoke really well. Before we move on and talking about really who all is going to be in the Final Four, because it's going to be some exciting basketball. Last week we talked about Angel Reese's coach, LSU's coach, Kim Mulkey, where she came out and had this press conference and threatened to sue the Washington Post and said she'd hired the best defamation law firm in the country. And we were all waiting for the story to drop. And so the story finally did drop. And it was really, there were no real surprises in the story. And if you've covered women's basketball and followed Kim Mulkey, you should not have been surprised by anything that was revealed. She's a hard-nosed coach. She coaches hard. She holds grudges. That's, she's not speaking to her father and hadn't been for a while. She's apparently not speaking to her sister. I don't know that those are things that you really sue about. I don't know if there's something else, you guys, that she expected that might have come out in the story. But Jamel Hill made a comment and tweet and wrote something this past week and said, when you saw the reporter who was doing the story, you knew it wasn't going to be a hit piece. This particular reporter really focuses on, these, we call them takeout features, long, flushed out stories. And because there's been so much interest in LSU and Kim Mulkey, that was the story that they did. And so if you didn't know that she's, probably not particularly supportive of, gay or bisexual players that she's coached, then that may have surprised you. The grudges that she holds, that's a personal thing. That's her issue. She apparently does that. I don't know Kim Mulkey personally. I've only covered her from afar. I've never covered her daily, so I don't have any personal interactions with her. So I can't tell you what I think from covering her up close and personal, like I cover a lot of teams and coaches. But just from reporting and watching it over the years, nothing about it surprised me, and nothing in that article rose to the level of, wow, it's a good thing she's got money to pay that defamation firm. Yeah, I don't know if it's something that she thought they were going to say that they didn't, but I told you I'd come back and give you an update. And my update is, go read it if you like. It's behind the paywall, but the Washington Post, you can get a free subscription. They'll let you read it and it won't cost you anything. And maybe it's something that you'd be interested just in getting a better sense of who she is. But yeah, nothing that rises to the level of, oh my gosh. So yes, I'm going to put it in the category of much to do about nothing. And but it does make you wonder, what was it that she was concerned might happen? So here are the Final Four teams. On the men's side, there is NC State and Purdue, UConn and Alabama. So NC State, Purdue, and UConn all were number one seeds in their region. Alabama was a 4, and this is Alabama's first trip to the Final Four. On the women's side, it's South Carolina, NC State, Iowa, and UConn. So both UConn and NC State, both of their men and women's teams are playing in the Final Four. So how about that for an accomplishment? In terms of what happened to the Cougars, it's been, they lost over the weekend. They lost Friday night in Dallas to Duke, but they lost their best player. And when Joel Shedd went down, a severely twisted ankle, and just wasn't able to walk on it. I think there were some that were hopeful that, okay, it looks like, they're saying maybe he's going to try to make a go of it, but he couldn't even walk on it. So putting pressure to try to run just wasn't going to happen. So they couldn't get through it. They lost by 3 to Duke. Duke ultimately lost to NC State. NC State is headed to the Final Four. So, listen, Kelvin Sampson and the Houston Cougars have had just some awful luck when it comes to injuries. And you hate to see the season end that way, but, so it goes and so the ball bounces. There were some exciting games. I mentioned the Iowa LSU game last night. Fantastic basketball. The second game was UConn and USC with the fantastic freshman Juju Watkins. And UConn just turned out to be too much for them to handle. Beckers is another one that just all world and can shoot it from the parking lot, and down the stretch, they just were too much for USC to handle. So some exciting matchups this weekend. So the matchups will be South Carolina will play NC State and UConn will play Iowa. The winners of those two teams will meet in the championship. On the men's side, NC State will play Purdue and UConn will play Alabama. Those two teams, the winners of those two teams will meet in the championship. So the women are in Cleveland, the men are in Phoenix, and it's been a lot of fun talking about and watching the Final Four. I mentioned to you Coach Leah, and I'm going to let you hear from her. Coach Leah is a former basketball player. She played basketball in college. She then went on to coach. I was trying to remember when we met, and I think it was her during the time when she was at TSU. She did get her MBA from TSU, but now she's doing some things. She's a sports editor of a publication out of her hometown of Minneapolis. Even though she lives in Houston, she's a sports editor for that publication, the print and the online version. She has a foundation called the Fraser Foundation. I think that's her maiden name. And she's also involved with something called Tall Girls United. And so here is Coach Leah talking about, first of all, what is Tall Girls United?
So our sole purpose for Tall Girls United is to unite tall girls and tall women brands globally. So that is it. That's what we were like. We don't want to have another business. We just want to just do this, have a platform to just unite tall girls. Well, we always say that when you want to make a guy giggle, you tell him your plans, right? And so once we did that, we realized that there was more that we could do. There was more that we should do. And so then from there, we realized that we wanted to do mentoring, because there were things that as adult women, we understand and we know who we are, and we've matured to accept who we are and be okay with who we are. But these young girls who we were, our 12-year-old selves, had such a hard time being tall women or tall girls, and everybody in the world not thinking that we were already grown women, having these other expectations about who we are as little girls, because we're little girls still. And so now we want to be able to mentor other little girls.
So I thought that was fascinating. Tall Girls United. And so I guess you think about it. I mean, I have a really close friend whose daughter's tall. And sometimes people look at her and they're, oh, she's an adult. No, she's just a tall, but she's a teenager. She's a kid, And so I think it's fascinating that they have this organization called Tall Girls United. And so there's a whole host of events that they're doing this weekend in around the Final Four. And so here is some of what's going to be happening as it relates to the Tall Girls United and what they're doing at the Final Four.
So what our conference basically consists of 4 simple things: a coach's welcome reception on Thursday night, just a fun way for everyone to get together in a very relaxed setting and say, hey, and all those things. On Friday, we have what's called our ultimate brunch. We call it the ultimate brunch because we have brunches all around the country and other destinations all year round. So when we all converge in the Final Four, that's the ultimate brunch. This year, we're adding a forum component where we'll have you've heard of TED Talks. We'll do a TGU talk and also breakout sessions so that people can do a deeper dive during the brunch, because we also have a panel discussion during the brunch. Our conference is called the Wellness, Wealth, and Winning Conference. And so those 3 pillars are where we really hang our hat and want to provide a really strong, what do we do in these areas? How can we be better in these areas? And so that is really the thrust for what we do during our conference. On Friday, we have on Saturday, we have a fashion show. And what better way for Sylvia and her brand and her line to be featured? But we've, of course, found other brands that are either specifically for tall women or girls or can cater to tall women or girls. And we do a dynamic fashion show. We were featured in Monarch magazine last year with our fashion show as well.
So that's Tall Girls United. Sylvia Crawley, who's a former NBA player, WNBA player, and also coach, has her own line. And so they're going to feature that in the fashion show. So there's a lot that's going on around the Final Four. As Coach Leah mentioned, there's a lot of events around the Final Four. So what better place to be to move their mission forward? It's the second year that they've done the event. I think she said last year they had about 100 people to show up at the different events they had. And so it's a great start, and they're looking to build on what they're doing. I want to go back to the Astros for a moment and let you hear from Michael Brantley, who retired. And so on opening day last week, when they opened against the Yankees, Dr. Muhammad, I don't know if you were a Yankee or a Mets fan. I don't remember, but I know you're a New Yorker. At any rate, Michael Brantley was there, and throughout the first pitch, he retired in the off season, and he said it was really emotional to be there. He spent some time in spring training. He says whatever the team needs him to do, he'll do, and he's just kind of finding his way in retirement. And here, after he threw out the first pitch, he came up and talked to some of us in the media, and here's Michael Brantley.
I want to be there for my guys, and if they need me or pop in and out, we'll see how it's going to go. There's no set role or anything like that right now. But just knowing that I love baseball, I always love baseball, and to get back or to be, helping in any given way, I'm always here.
What's it like to have the time on your hands now to spend with your family or just do whatever you want? What's that like?
Yeah, it's still new to me. I do a lot of driving, we do a lot of sporting events and horse shows and stuff like that for my kids. But at the same time, I'm getting the hang of it. I think. But at the same time, they put in so much time and sacrifice for me to play the game that I love. So to be there with them, enjoy time with them, coach little leagues and see horse shows and do all the stuff that I miss playing this season. It's a tremendous change, but I love it.
That was Michael Brantley, who threw out the first pitch on opening day. So back to, I didn't want to not saw that. I realized, I didn't let you guys hear from Michael Brantley. Was always one of my favorites. Said he's never really liked to be in front of the camera. So somebody asked him if you think you might want to do television. I don't know. Maybe it's different if you're in the booth. But he said he's just figuring it out. That was cool that he said, hey, I am driving a lot and, being there, because when you are with these schedules and your wife is kind of doing all of the things with the kids, and now he gets to be a part of that. So congratulations to Michael Brantley. It was great to see him, and you definitely miss him around the clubhouse. Back to basketball, but this time to the NBA. So the Houston Rockets were on a roll, and they still are. They lost a game, right? They won 11 straight. Were one of the hottest two teams in the NBA. The other was the Dallas Mavericks, who they ran into. And I say that because that's what it looked like on Sunday night. They hosted the Mavericks at the Toyota Center, and the Mavericks just didn't have an answer for them. In particular, Luka Doncic. Luka who of course was questionable. He was a game time decision, but he dropped 47 points. So whatever. Luka was just something tough for them to handle. So they lost that game. Same night, Golden State was playing in San Antonio. They won a close game against the Spurs. I mentioned Golden State because Golden State currently sits in the 10th spot in terms of the standings in the West. And in order for the Houston Rockets to get to the play-in, they've got to get to that 10th spot. They now trail Golden State by 2 games. Can they make it up? They can, but they're going to have to be almost perfect through the rest of the regular season. Now, here's the Rockets' remaining schedule. They play at Minnesota tonight. That's going to be tough. Minnesota is one of the best teams in the league. Then on Thursday night, they're back home and they host Golden State. They got a chance to pick up a game, because if they win a game, they get a whole game. The half game for winning and then the half game for Golden State losing. They get to win a game there. Then on Friday night, they have a back-to-back. They play host to the Miami Heat. Then they go to Dallas on Sunday for an afternoon game against the Mavericks. And then their last home game of the regular season, it may be of the season if they don't get in the play-in, is Orlando next Tuesday. They finish out the season back at Utah next Thursday, a back-to-back game the next night at Portland, and then they end the season on the 14th, a week from Sunday, against the Clippers in Los Angeles. So it's a rough rest of the year for the Houston Rockets. They can still get there, right? It is not over. Let me see if I can pull up Golden State's schedule for the rest of the year. Schedule. Okay. So here's what Golden State has. Tonight, Golden State is playing Dallas. They're here on Thursday to play Houston. On Friday night, they're playing Dallas at home tonight in Golden State. Then they travel to Houston on Thursday. On Friday night, so their back-to-back is in Dallas. They play in Dallas on Friday night. Then on Sunday, they play Utah. Next Tuesday, they play the Lakers. Those games have been just fights to the bitter end this season for them. Next Thursday, they play Portland at Portland. They play New Orleans. And their last game of the regular season is Utah. So they have Dallas twice. They have Houston. They have Utah twice. They have the Lakers, the Portland, and they have New Orleans. So we'll see. I mean, we need some help from Golden State, which has Golden State ever helped? Has Golden State ever helped the Houston Rockets? I mean, we can go back to those days where Golden State was the team standing in the place of the Houston Rockets getting to the Western Conference, representing the Western Conference in the championship. So there is that. So hey, good morning. Good morning. Thank you, my friend. Thank you, my friend. Oh, I see Sylvia and Dr. Muhammad are sharing love with each other. Great, great, great. Glad you guys are all a part of the show. And so let me let you hear from the Rockets. So here is Coach Ime Udoka after the game on Sunday night, talking about the Mavs loss. And, you know, it was a tough loss. They didn't really do a great job. I'm sorry. They did an awful job on Luka Doncic. I mean, Luka is in the MVP conversation because he's that good. And let me just tell you, Luka, I think, had 22 points in the first quarter. Luka Doncic and Kyrie Irving between them had 71 points. So here is head coach Ime Udoka.
Yeah, we didn't play our best tonight. We let Doncic be too comfortable, no doubt. But not to diminish what we did. Let's get it back going and play it. We got a quick turnaround against another really good team, obviously, so I have to be better than we were tonight. And so that was the message. It's one game, and one guy played really well for them. A few others made shots, but we didn't particularly play great. And, had our chances early on, still keeping it in striking range. But, let's get it back going, do what we did well to get that streak going.
So the team they have to play that he's talking about is, as I mentioned, is Minnesota. Minnesota's already clinched a playoff spot. They're in the 3 spot in the West. So in the Western Conference, as you look at playoffs, Oklahoma is in the number 1 spot. Denver's 2. They're a half game back. Minnesota's 3. They're a whole game back. So those top 3 positions could change before the end of the season. The next team is the Clippers at 5 games back. So it is, the Timberwolves have been playing great. Let me go back to just the Western Conference standing. So in the West, the Clippers are in first place in the Pacific Division. Of course, the Southwest has Dallas, New Orleans, and then Houston. And then in the Northwest, it's Oklahoma City, Denver, and Minnesota, all in that same division. And that's where there's a little bit of a logjam. But it's going to be interesting down the stretch to see how the Rockets finish out. And it is not over. They still have a shot. And it's just kind of cool, covering the Rockets so that it's April the 2nd, and we're talking about them in a way that is really relevant, is relevant to postseason. That has not been the case since 2020. It's been 4 years since the Rockets have been relevant in April. And so here is Jabari Smith Jr., who led the team on Sunday and talking about the Mavericks loss and just, what it's like kind of recovering after being on that streak.
Oh, yeah, some of them, but, some of them are on us, got to make it tough on him. I feel like he was too comfortable all night, and I just be an emphasis next time we play him, just make him comfortable.
How would defending him compare to some of the other more guys who switch on, the high-scoring guys rather than the big men?
He's obviously a different player, not as very deceptive, very twitchy, very lot of shot fakes, got to stay disciplined. And especially when the jumper's going, it makes it a lot tougher on you. Got to press up on him more and just, like I said earlier, just make it tough on him.
It's been a while since you all lost a game. How do you rebound from tonight and move forward?
Easy, just put it behind us and just look for the next one. You know what I'm saying? Season not over, so just keep playing. You know what I'm saying? We try to win every game. We can't win them all. We lost this one, just put it behind us. It ain't gonna get no easier from here. You know what I'm saying? Thinking about that, we got to go to a tough environment in Minnesota, so got to put it behind us and get ready for the next one.
Is this must win?
I think every game is a must win to me. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, I'll say that.
Is this?
So that was Jabari Smith Jr. He left the Rockets with 28 points, 7 rebounds, 2 assists, at 3 blocks. He was 5 of 7 from 3, perfect from the line. It was a rough night for Dylan Brooks. He was scoreless. He was 0 for 8. And Amen Thompson, the rookie, who has been really impressive defensively and just in a number of ways, got 2 early fouls, and he was kind of charged with helping to defend Luka. And so he had to, he went out earlier than he would have expected. Jalen Green had 12 points, 6 rebounds, 5 assists. But after the game, Kyrie Irving talked about how great Jalen Green's been playing, and they had a plan for Jalen. They doubled Jalen, and they were going to make it difficult for Jalen to really have success. And they had a great game plan, Jason Kidd and Mavericks, in terms of how they would defend and cover Jalen Green in that game. So that, it was indeed a rough night for Jalen Green and the Rockets, who, I'm going to go back to the box score. So in the first quarter, the Dallas outscored Houston 36-24. And like I said, Luka had most of those points, and they won really every quarter. Then at the second quarter, they outscored them 30-21. Then Houston won the third quarter 25-28, and they tied them at the end. They both had 34 points in the fourth quarter, but Houston was operating at a deficit, and they just couldn't get back in it. The final score was Dallas 125 to Houston 107. And imagine that Luka and Kyrie had 70 combined for 71 of those 125 points. It was something. And, the Dallas Mavericks just, they shot 52% from the field, which is really good, especially on the road. They shot 51% from 3, which is exceptional, especially on the road. The Rockets didn't shoot the ball well from the very beginning, and they won points in the paint. The Rockets had more bench points, but the Mavs led by as many as 29 at one point. That's tough when you get down so big. You have to fight so hard to get back, and it's difficult to maintain and overcome it. So listen, they'd won 11 in a row, right? They had quite a march. They won 11 of 13 games in March. They won 11 in a row, and now they need to start another streak because they still have a shot to get in the postseason play-in tournament, but they've got to be almost perfect, and they've got to get some help from Golden State. And let me just see, because Golden State is trying to obviously maintain their spot, but they also want to, how far? So Golden State is at 10 and the Lakers are at 9. Golden State is a game and a half behind the Lakers. So they're a game and a half behind the Lakers. Houston is 2 games behind Golden State. Anything could happen, but they're going to have to play near flawless basketball. So yes, almost perfect. Hey, good morning. Good morning. Good morning, Carolyn Moore. It's great to see you. And I want to shout out to my friend Kim and LJ Williams. You hear me talk about them often from I Love Jinka, and we've partnered with Jinka for many years. They've supported Chalk Talk. So if you've not gotten your Jinka, you've not tried it, and you're in Texas, go to HEB, to the healthy living section, and the refrigerated section, you will see it. You can get the paste or the other capsules. And you can also go to ilovejinka.com and get it on their website. But I'm so proud of them. Last week, they went to Atlanta and were on the Portia Show. It's a show that airs on Fox 5 in Atlanta, but it airs nationally on Fox Soul. When the show airs, I'll be sure to post the link so you guys can see them. Kim and LJ are partners with me in Jinka, but they're also clients. We've done media training and communication strategy. And so I was super excited for them to get the opportunity to talk about not just Jinka, but the journey. And so you'll want to make sure you watch the interview. Jinka is the product, but it's really a labor of love. And you've heard them talk about it here on the show. It actually started, the business started, the product was born because LJ, Kim's husband, was creating a product for her. She was diagnosed as pre-diabetic after, they had their daughter. And he was like, yeah, we're not going to be on diabetic medication. So not that he's a chemist, but he did start playing around with herbs and trying to figure out from research, what can we do naturally so that you're not diabetic? And so he created the product that's now called Jinka. It started as a turmeric paste, and they gave it to friends and family, and people started having amazing results beyond the results that Kim had. It did work for her, but they had family members and friends who noticed that, oh, we have less joint pain, and people with gout had better, had less problems with gout, and people saw their A1C numbers come down and their cholesterol and blood pressure numbers be better. And so it was just an overall thing. And that is how it became a business. And now 6, 7, 8 years later, it is in HEB stores. They have some new things they're going to be announcing soon. They've been talking with the military to get an AFIX. So it'll be a part of the exchange where people, veterans and active service people can buy it online. It is just really exciting to see, and that they are coachable. Thanks, Kim says. It's been everything. It has been fun working with you guys. It is really something, because having a chance to tell your story and being clear about it and not being uncomfortable about it is really huge. And it's an ongoing process. And Kim and LJ have been great. People say, guys don't want input. LJ Williams has been super, super receptive. And I'm excited to see what else is ahead. They started with, they've done a few things locally, but it was great to see them on this national platform, and looking forward to seeing them in other places. Kim says, your media knowledge and love has brought confidence that we didn't know we were lacking. That's so awesome. I'm so glad. Kim's going to also help me pitch the special I've been telling you guys about, that I'm going to be launching for the rest of April, so that you can get, you can find out, you can get some help with being more confident and comfortable on camera, get some input about things you should consider and work on. And then maybe down the road, you want to get full media training. But this strategy session, I think you'll find very helpful. And you're going to get a bonus LinkedIn guide, how to show up better on LinkedIn, so that you can get more people to see what you're doing and what you're talking about. And the other offering is for a podcast. If you've ever wanted to start a podcast or your own show, it is important that you have structure and format and know what it takes to create a show that you can then do consistently, because that's going to be the key. And that's the other offering. So if you want to start a podcast, we'll do a strategy session. I'll point you in the direction to help you lay out your foundation to get started. And there's also a LinkedIn bonus guide with that offering as well. All that's going to be posted online on all of my platforms and on my website, kimydavis.com. You can find it there. And my other final thing I want to share with you is Kimmy Treats did not go away, but you can go to my Kimmy Treats page on Instagram. If you want to order Kimmy Treats, the vegan popcorn is still really still available. And we're going to be hopefully partnering with a new location soon, so that if you're in Houston, there's a new place that you can get Kimmy Treats. And the vegan popcorn and the Kimmy bars, we're working on that. But in the meantime, you can go to my Instagram page if you want to order some of the vegan popcorn. It's not gone away. We're just regrouping in terms of where we're located and looking for some new partners. So that is all that's happening. Kim, thank you for that. I appreciate you, my friend. Listen, we are out of time for today. Thank you as always for being a part of Chalk Talk. I appreciate you being here, but also being engaged, right? Because otherwise it's just me talking to myself. Now, you guys know I can talk, so I could do that, but it's not nearly as fun as it is to be engaged with each and every one of you. So thank you for participating. That means a lot. And remember, if you are not registered to vote, get registered. If you have not tried Jinka, at least try it for 30 days. Commit to it for 30 days and see what it does in your life in terms of reducing inflammation or aches and pains, or maybe your A1C number, or, and it's just real. It's turmeric, it's, Himalayan salt, it's Ceylon cinnamon. It's all really just a little bit of date sugar, so it's not going to spike your insulin levels. It's really, for real, all natural stuff. Like you will not be disappointed. And it was created out of love. And yeah, the website is ilovejinka.com. Not only can you order it there, you can get information there. You can connect with Kim and LJ there, and you can read all of the testimonials, or a lot of testimonials of people who've had just a lot of success about it. So make sure you check it out. Also, make sure you let me know, what do you think about the name? What's appropriate? Want to start that by May, and have some panel discussions and just kind of offer some support around the areas of what's appropriate, whether it's about communication and how you show up, and leadership and diversity, right? Equity and inclusion. I know that has become kind of taboo in some instances, but how do we navigate this space now? What is appropriate? What should we say? What should we do? I want to be as helpful as I can, and I've had clients ask me about it often, and so let's share it. Let's figure it out. What's appropriate? I think it's important. I want to be a resource for you as it relates to not just sports, because you can get that here, but all things communication, leadership, and really that confidence thing with yourself. And this is the last thing I'm going to leave you guys with. When I talk about communication and I talk about listening is one of the key components, being a good listener, work on being a better listener, you guys. We can all really do that. And the other thing is be responsive. And I'm just going to talk to business owners. If you have a business, be responsive. Like, communication is not an option. The companies that do it well are the companies that are going to have more long-term success. You've got to learn to have the difficult conversations, and you've got to learn how to not take it so personal. Yeah, it's personal. It's my business. It's part of me. But if you're going to be a business owner, we've got to have those difficult conversations sometimes. And we got to have them in a way that is effective and productive. And we've got to do it without being defensive. And so that's one of the things I really want to help you guys do. I see such a need for it across the board, retail, restaurants, you name it, service industry. So if you can improve in that space, that's something that's going to improve your business. And so I leave you with that today. Kim says, I have to be a better listener. Nothing is personal. It is so difficult when you pour your heart and soul into something to take yourself out of it, but you will see the rewards and benefits on the other side. And that's going to elevate your business. You can learn tools. You can be better at your craft. I think all that's important. But how you communicate what you do, what works, your business, and with your customers and potential customers is going to separate you from other people in the industry. So listen, that's it for today. Make it a great, great day. Look forward to being here next week to talk about Final Four. Hopefully I'm going to get to River Oaks tennis tournament this week. Francis Tiafoe is in town. And so if you like tennis and you can get over to the River Oaks Clay Court Championships, he is here. And I'm trying to get in, credentials, that whole journey of credentials. But I would love to get a chance to talk to Francis Tiafoe. And let me tell you about the deal one more time. So there's two options. One is to have a strategy session about your on-camera presentation, right? We'll look at it and give you some constructive feedback. And the goal is to help you show up more confidently and more comfortably, right? And the other thing is to give you a sense of what it means to kind of narrow down your message and be clear about it. Now, we can't cover everything in this 1 hour, but it will give you something to work with, and you'll definitely have some takeaways. Plus, you'll get a bonus LinkedIn guide. And you may say, you know what, I want to go deeper. I need to be in one of these media training workshops or classes or more one-on-one help. But this is a great way to get your feet wet, right? The other is you've been thinking about doing a show. And so you say, well, Kim, who should have a show? Do you have a business? You should have a show. It's a great, great marketing tool for your business. A podcast will give you some content that you can continue to send to potential customers and clients, and you can use it to promote your business and to brand your company. And so how do you do that? Well, I'm glad you asked. I am offering a strategy session, a 1 hour strategy session to help you launch your podcast, figure out the framework, get the structure in place, and get you started. It's a great way to get your show going and just understand what it takes to get it done, because you want to do a show that is representative of who you are and what your business is. And so that's the other offering. Follow me online. I'll be posting both of those. And I may even do a Ask Me Anything later this week where you can hop on for a free little session so you can get a sense of the kind of things that you'll get from either of those offers. I say grab them both, right? Grab them both. I look forward to it. All right. Have a great, great week. I'll see you next time. Thank you guys for being a part of the show and being engaged. If it's your first time being a part of Chalk Talk, I'm going to invite you back. And everybody, if you will, share this video on the platform you're watching it with your community so that we can continue to build the Chalk Talk tribe. Make it a great week, everybody. And remember, these cups are coming soon. Cups and t-shirts. We got a lot happening. It's the spring. We're blooming in the spring. It's April. We're doing a new thing, and we are expanding the brand. All right, make it a great week, everybody. Peace.